So what if I told you that, according to some of the stuff we've been looking at, getting rich today isn't just for a lucky few, but it's actually, well, easy.
Easy. That definitely sounds pretty counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Right.
Especially in everything you hear about, the economy and struggles. But yeah, we've done a deep dive into like a whole collection of articles, videos, online takes, all sort of circling this provocative idea.
It really does fly in the face of the usual narrative. So, okay, our mission here in this deep dive is to really unpack all that. We want to pull out the key arguments, the surprising bits, and figure out why they're saying wealth is, more accessible now. What's the stuff that matters most for you, the listener?
Okay, let's get right into it then. The really bold statement, and it pops up across these sources, is basically that. Becoming rich is, believe it or not, easy.
And they're not shy about throwing out some pretty startling claims to back it up. We saw figures like, a new millionaire every 21 seconds?
Yeah, globally.
Yeah.
And even a new billionaire every day. That was from one source.
Crazy numbers. And another one suggested something like 1 in 10 people in the U.S. is already considered rich, which, really makes you question if it's this super rare thing.
It suggests a world where, a lot of wealth is being created. It's moving around. So the big question becomes, why use that word easy? What do they actually mean by it? Because obviously it doesn't mean, no effort.
Exactly. Doesn't mean guaranteed. So maybe let's start with the external stuff, the things out there in the world that supposedly make it easier now than, say, 50 years ago.
Yeah, good place to start. A big one is just the sheer abundance and opportunity. The argument is we're living in the most, resource-rich time in history. There's just an unbelievable amount of money flowing around.
So the opportunity is figuring out how to tap into that flow.
Basically, yeah. How to direct some of it your way.
And didn't one source specifically mention America, saying it's kind of uniquely structured for opportunity?
Yeah, that came up. Describing it as, easy in terms of opportunity compared to many other places just because of its economic history and system. A big advantage if you're operating there.
Okay. And then there's technology. That feels like a huge one.
Oh, massive.
Yeah.
Think about the barriers that's just vaporized. You can get a smartphone now for, next to nothing.
Right.
And that phone, plus mostly free software, it gives you access to the entire world. Learning, communication, markets. It's all right there.
In your pocket, which kind of breaks the old chains, right? Like remote work, you don't have to be physically near your job anymore.
Exactly. You could be earning, say, a U.S. or European salary.
While living somewhere much cheaper.
Precisely. They use that example like a developer in Kenya getting a Western salary.
Yeah.
That kind of geographical arbitrage, it's all thanks to tech.
And investing, too. That used to feel so closed off.
Totally. Now you've got apps where you can invest like $10.
Seriously?
Yeah. Into huge companies you use every day, or just the whole market, like the S&P 500. Those old barriers of complexity, cost, needing a broker for everything, they're mostly gone.
So the structure of the economy itself is part of this easy argument.
Yeah, the idea is that, economies run on consumption. Money flows from people buying stuff to people making stuff.
So the trick is to switch sides.
That's the core idea in some sources. Stop being primarily a consumer, start being a creator. That's the fundamental shift.
And didn't someone also mention governments printing money? Just adding more fuel to the fire?
Yeah, that was a point too. Just that more money being injected into the system increases the overall flow that's, up for grabs, theoretically.
Okay, what about getting knowledge or reaching people? That seems way easier too.
Absolutely. Top-tier education, premium content. It's often online for free. Right. You can advertise, market yourself, build a whole community around whatever you do, even if it's super niche. One source made the point, with 8 billion people on Earth.
You can find someone interested in your specific thing.
Exactly. The potential market is global now, thanks to connectivity.
And if you can't do something yourself, like build a website,
you outsource it, find someone online, maybe in another country where it's cheaper, need a logo, need code, need marketing help. You can hire for almost anything.
That's that arbitrage idea, again, paying less than the value created.
Yeah, and it ties into the bigger concept of leverage that kept coming up.
Right, leverage. Using other people's, skills, money?
Skills, money, technology, systems, knowledge, relationships. Anything that multiplies your efforts so you're not just trading your time for money one-on-one. Working smarter, basically.
So if you look at all that, the abundance, the tech, the economy, knowledge access, reach, leverage, you can see the argument, right? Why they'd say the opportunity side of the equation is easier than ever.
Definitely paints a picture of a very different landscape than, say, our parents or grandparents faced.
But, okay, if the opportunity is so great, why isn't everyone rich? Which brings us to the other side of this, the internal stuff, the personal factors.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really interesting, maybe even a bit confronting. It seems like most sources agree the real barriers aren't external anymore, they're internal.
Like mindset, that came up a lot.
Over and over. This idea that you fundamentally have to believe wealth is possible for you. If your deep down mindset is money's hard to get, or rich people are greedy, or I'm not the type,
then you'll make that your reality.
Pretty much. One source said, like, you repel what you secretly despise or don't believe you deserve. So changing your philosophy, your core beliefs about money and yourself, that's step one.
Which ties into the idea of will, right? Or just wanting it enough.
Exactly. A really strong theme was anyone with a genuine will and commitment will get rich.
Yeah.
But most people, they just don't actually want it badly enough to create a plan and stick to it.
It's not just a vague wish?
No. It was even framed, maybe a bit harshly, as a competency test. Like, if you really want it and you're competent enough to pursue it systematically, you'll get it. If you don't have it, maybe the want or the action isn't really there.
Okay, so mindset, well, what else on the internal side? Purpose.
Yes, purpose and finding your gift. This was interesting. The idea that chasing money for its own sake doesn't really work long term. True wealth comes from figuring out your unique talent, your gift, what you can offer the world that adds value. And then wealth kind of follows that purpose. Serve others first, money comes later.
Finding your thing.
Yeah, your unique contribution. The world needs it, and that's your key, supposedly.
Okay, this next one felt pretty direct, taking responsibility, blaming yourself.
Yeah, that one hits hard, doesn't it? Some sources, particularly one, were very blunt about this. You have to blame yourself for your current situation, full stop.
Which sounds negative, but the point is empowerment.
Exactly. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about saying, if it's my fault, then I'm the one who can fix it. It gives you agency.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just a victim of circumstances.
Radical self-accountability.
That's the phrase. It's seen as essential.
Okay, so we've got the external opportunity, we've got the internal shifts, mindset, will, purpose, responsibility, but you still have to do stuff, right?
Right. And this is where that Jim Rohn principle really clicked for me, the one highlighted in the sources.
The easy to do, easy not to do thing.
Exactly that. He defines easy as something I could do. Getting rich involves doing things you could do, but the kicker is the things that are easy to do, they're also incredibly easy not to do.
And that's the trap. Neglect.
Neglect, that's the word. It's not usually some big dramatic failure. It's the daily neglect of the simple positive actions, not making the call, not reading the book, not saving the money.
That accumulates.
It compounds downwards, just like positive actions compound upwards. Neglect is the major reason people fail, according to this view.
So the antidote is consistency.
Consistency. Showing up. Doing the small, easy things every day. Trusting that those little steps add up over time. It's not glamorous, but it's apparently what works.
And taking action means sometimes taking risks.
Calculated risks, yeah.
Yeah.
Not reckless gambling, but being willing to step out, try things, accept uncertainty. You can't steal second base with your foot still on first.
Right. And learn from failures when they happen.
Absolutely. See them as feedback, not as a reason to quit.
Yeah.
One source just kept saying, got to keep trying new things, figure out what works.
Okay, one last piece on the internal action side. Financial literacy.
Yeah, can't skip that. You don't need a PhD in economics.
Right.
But you do need to understand the basics of how money works. Managing it, investing basics, cash flow, planning, just the fundamentals.
So money becomes your tool, not your master.
Exactly. Understanding things like compound interest, how powerful that is over time, knowing the difference between good debt, like for an asset, and bad debt, like for consumables, eventually maybe diversifying income. Basic stuff, but crucial.
Okay, wow. So let's try and pull this all together. When these sources say getting rich is easy, what's the real meaning here? It's clearly not effortless.
No, definitely not effortless. Easy seems to mean first that the external conditions, the opportunities, the tools, the access are unprecedentedly favorable.
Like compared to historical struggles.
Right. That source contrasting typing on a keyboard today versus like risking your life at the gold rush. By that comparison, yeah, today's path is easy. The barriers to entry are incredibly low for many things.
And the second meaning of easy
Is that the main roadblocks aren't those external things anymore. They're internal. Your mindset, your willingness to learn and adapt, your self-discipline, taking responsibility.
Overcoming fear.
Overcoming fear. And maybe most importantly, overcoming that simple daily neglect of the easy-to-do actions.
So the difficulty isn't the task itself, it's consistently doing the simple task.
That seems to be the core message from Ron, yeah. The hard part is the discipline to do the easy things, day in, day out, and avoid slipping into neglect.
Did the sources talk much about specific strategies, like how to actually do it?
They touched on it. Less about the step-by-step, more about the types of paths. One source, Alex, listed like 8 main ways people build wealth.
Like what?
Things like building products, either physical or digital, creating a strong brand and audience, building a high-performing team, structuring deals, buying assets that grow in value, building automated systems, using other people's money, OPM.
So different avenues you could take once you've got the internal stuff sorted?
Yeah, that seemed to be the implication.
Yeah.
Get your mindset, discipline, and strategy right first, then pick your vehicle. And the advice was often to focus on one thing first. Master making money or one income stream before trying to juggle 5 different things.
Get good at one thing.
Focus, yeah.
So if we accept this framework for a minute that it's easy because of opportunity and internal factors being the main hurdles, let's revisit why most people don't get rich. What were the main culprits according to these sources?
Okay, summarizing from what we read, number 1 seems to be a lack of real desire or commitment. Just a vague wish, not a burning drive with a plan.
Just wanting it isn't enough.
Apparently not. Then just being stuck in survival mode, only thinking about paying bills, not actively strategizing for wealth.
Lack of a game plan or not trying new things.
Yeah, just doing the same thing, expecting different results or not experimenting. Laziness was mentioned quite bluntly.
Described as a personality defect even.
In one case, yeah. Just an unwillingness to put in the required consistent effort, which links straight back to neglect of the simple necessary actions, knowing what to do, but just not doing it.
Fear also plays a big role.
Huge. Fear of risk, fear of failure, stopping people before they even start.
A lack of financial literacy, making bad choices because you don't understand money.
Right. And giving up too soon. Impatience. Expecting overnight results and quitting when it takes time and consistent effort. That lack of discipline again.
And the big one, blaming external factors.
Absolutely. Blaming the government, the economy, your boss, your upbringing, anything but taking personal responsibility,
Right.
Which, as we said, removes your power to change anything.
So it really boils down to this tension, doesn't it? The outside world offers maybe more potential than ever.
Yeah, unprecedented opportunity, tools, access.
But whether you actually capture any of that depends almost entirely on your internal world.
Your mindset, your discipline, your willingness to act consistently and take responsibility, that seems to be the crux of it all, according to these perspectives.
So the message isn't sit back and wealth appears. It's more like the pathway is clearer and more accessible, but walking it requires mastering yourself and avoiding those simple pitfalls like neglect.
Exactly. It reframes hard, not as external impossibility, but as internal challenge. The tools are there, the knowledge is out there, the variable is you and your ability to consistently execute on the simple things.
Okay, so to leave our listeners with something to think about. If these sources are right and getting rich is easy in the sense of being possible, and the main hurdles are internal mindset, action, avoiding neglect, what's maybe one simple, easy thing you could start doing consistently? Or maybe stop neglecting starting today?
Or taking that other provocative idea, if not trying consistently, is framed as a kind of personality defect. What does that challenge you to look at in your own approach? Not just with money, but with any big goal you have. Definitely some food for thought there.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If this blessed you in any way, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs it. Let's keep spreading light and love. Be a blessing wherever you go. Until next time, God bless.